falters, Gen G get a little bit more confident, you have to assume, as Poppy going to be banned away first time around as well. And T1, given that they are the home team, they do have the blue side advantage, and it does mean that Harmor Life Esports are going to have some struggles here in this draft because you have to ban away a lot of things against T1.
Yeah, you do. Draven off the board, Yuumi kind of a permanent ban now on the red side. The bans we see here for T1, the priority towards the Poppy and the Kalista, saying that they will absolutely take Sari first if they are given the opportunity to do so. So Harmor Life probably considering a ban on that one, but they've already committed the ban to the Yuumi, so you leave so much open here. It'll be the Lucian that is taken away instead, which feels, you know, fairly risky considering the Zeri's up, Kalista's banned, Lucian's banned, but it's once again the Wukong that I guess we just have to talk about as a first pick blue side priority pick now that the Zeri is no longer the big issue anymore in the LCK.
Well, it does mean that T1 will walk sort of head first into a potential Sylas, but Sylas being picked this early in a draft, I've never really liked. He was extraordinarily strong, blind picked earlier on, but I just don't know about it. I don't know about it.
I don't like it here this early in the draft either.
Yeah, if you draft effectively into it, it can certainly be something that you can mitigate. As Gwen will be locked in here for Dudu, definitely his weapon of choice, scissors, in this particular patch.
Yeah, and you know, if you are now expecting Gnar to come through as somewhat of a response, then you could maybe pick up the Sylas then, because T1 are definitely looking to lock in 80 carry here. Wow, taking both solo laners early, giving T1...
Where is Zeri?
Yeah, giving T1 the opportunity to counterpick here, both solo lanes, but looking to control the bottom side instead. Of course, the Zeri is going to be way higher prio here. And there's so many supports you can lock in with this one. But Nautilus, I think, is probably the safest call at this point in time. We could see Renata as well. Lulu is banned, of course. Yep. And if you want to lock in the support here, those are your picks. Otherwise, you know, you're looking for a counter pick to one of these solo laners, but you have so much time in this draft to do that. You don't actually need to prioritize it.
Yep, you also, if you wanted to get the Alistair, you'd probably have to lock it in here, as Faker is going to go towards his Galio, who's been fantastic on this pick, as well as the fact that Galio has worked so well enabling Zeri. Karis is going to be hovering the Twitch. Of course, Samdi was actually the second one to play the Twitch into Zeri here in the LCK. It was with a Yuumi, which did certainly enable the Twitch a whole lot more. But it will be the Sivir that comes in, and I really like this from Hanwha. We saw the Sivir actually work into the Zeri before. Of course, there's a lot of caveats. You need to get rid of a lot of the tools that Zeri can then utilize, the Yuumi being the main one. But now, with the fact that you can pick it third on red side, you can now ban things like the Alistair if you're worried about that being an issue. Of course, not necessarily in lane going to be so much of that problem, so they may not even need to.
I'll ban the Gnar away since the Sylas is not an option for them anymore, since they've simply just taken their solo laners early. Now for T1, I think the focal point here is going to be figuring out what the jungle pick is going to be. You want to take away all the early powered picks, so they've already taken away Poppy. Trundle's next in line. And, you know, a lot of teams would go ahead and ban the Skarner here as well, but I think that you're not as worried about that in this draft here for T1. But it's definitely one that's on their radar here, Lee Sin being the other. Wheeler hasn't played that many games during the LCK, so it's hard to actually lock in his pool and focus on his trends, but I imagine that we're looking for a double jungle ban here.
Love the Tryndamere ban. The old pick into the Gwen.
Yeah.
Back in the day. It's been a while since we've seen the Tryndamere.
It's really interesting. I think that for T1 here, with the Trundle ban, you're already feeling pretty good about locking in the tank top side here. You don't necessarily need to win the matchup into the Gwen, but it does eliminate that skill-based matchup that Dudu might have to play into on the Zeus' side. So will be a ban on the Rakan here. Very interesting. There's a lot of setup for CC here for Harmor Life if they had the Rakan with the Emperor's Divide. Sivir, of course, going to be able to speed up the Rakan, but not a huge fan of this ban, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not my favorite, as the Viego will be the consideration here for Chani. We'll give it over to Willa, and that is the jungle choice into the Wukong. We're back to Wukong Viego Wolf. Oh, how things change the more they change.
Yeah, and the Viego's
the same, blah, blah, blah.
The Viego's on the red side, the Wukong's on the blue side. It's just like,
Whoa.
Just like we imagined.
I had this dream. It lasted a few weeks.
Still waiting to see what the support pick is going to be here. The Akali,
yeah,
we've seen once again. Now, this Akali I like a lot more than the one we saw from KT earlier on tonight, because you already have a front line with the Galio. You've got a Wukong here, and now it looks like we're pivoting away from the Seraphine potentially into another Leona pick, which is more frontlining for the Zeri. This composition both dives, but also sets up really nice wombo combo, and it's very difficult to actually use Viego Gwen into these taunts, and an Akali you could just simply get on the other side of them.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful Zeri comp that T1 have put together. I very much like it. Vista going to collect the Tahm Kench, most likely here. I actually really like this to round out the Hanwha composition, just because we mentioned T1 a whole lot of AoE CC. If Vista manages to get that Devour off while a lot of that is going, then he can save either Dudu or Chani from these situations, and potentially mitigate a lot of the AoE that T1's going to be throwing out there. So I do like the pick. Doesn't necessarily have a whole lot of power in lane, but neither does Zeri Leona.
Yeah, you're not playing for lane with this Tahm Kench pick. Like you said, you're playing for the triple threat that Hanwha Life Esports is looking for in mid to late game team fights, because there are 3 extremely potent and powerful scaling champions for straight up 5v5 team fights. Whereas T1 is reliant on Zeri's later spikes, heading towards 2-3 items much later on in the game. And so as a result, if the Galio engage isn't perfect, or Faker isn't able to have a nice taunt or an ult to supplement his team in these fights, Zeri's going to struggle in the early parts, where this comp is going to really be online for Hanwha Life Esports, and later on it just gets stronger too, because Gwen's going to have the side lane angle, the Azir is going to be good. You remove the nameplates here, and I kind of slightly lean in Hanwha Life Esports' favor in terms of the draft, but it is T1.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I think that the T1 factor may come in clutch here. But like you say, I think that Hanwha Life Esports have constructed themselves something quite nice. The Viego sort of stands out as something that is going to need a little bit of help getting some work done in the early stages. But I think Hanwha Life having a bit of an onus on them to make things happen in the earlier stages of the game is definitely warranted, because they're up against a Zeri composition, and we all know what happens when a Zeri composition gets online.
Yeah, and for me, the focal point is on Hanwha here, because I want to see what Chani does with this pick, the Sivir, that is going. This game is going to be so much about him. I want to see what Willer ends up getting done with this Viego. These players that have been subbed in here tonight, how will they perform in the draft that's given to them? A strong one. We'll see how they perform individually.
Exactly right. Let's hop onto the Rift here for game number 1 between T1 and Hanwha Life Esports. All right. Some Hanwha fans in the building. Like to see that, and especially the fan chant leader, who almost lost his voice there, yelling out in desperation for Hanwha Life to actually find something good. I really liked the signs that said Han-whiting. It was actually, that was a fun pun. I actually understood that one.
Yeah, it's very cute.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Carrier just going to be standing here, making sure that he sees exactly what's going on. He's going to discover it, but not going to stop the deep ward going down. Karis will know where this Wukong is going to be starting.
Yep, just a little bit of extra information for them in the early game here. And will just be a leash start for Willer now on the blue buff. He's going to come over here and look for that. Galio has been so strong on this patch. Just to talk about it, Faker has been by far our best Galio player in the LCK. And, we saw in the MSI tournament that RNG did end up taking a lot of Galio play from RNG. And it feels like T1 adopted a lot of that style of play of dominating early and then controlling mid to late game objective fights around that long range engage. But now Galio is buffed, and we're seeing this Night Harvester build coming through be very strong. So something to really focus in on here and zoom in on here if you're a Faker fan is how much he actually gets done this game, because Galio is no longer just a engage bot champion, but he also does a significant amount of damage and is very sticky on this patch. So I really like the pick right now, even into champions like Azir.
Yeah, outside of, we've had some up and down performances. Showmaker finding 0 success on the champion last time around. But like you say, Faker seems to be a different breed when it comes to playing this Galio.
4-1 this season.
Yeah.
5 games of it played. It's kind of a niche pick, but not for Faker.
Certainly not. As Zeus is fighting Dudu here, we'll be able to pick up the empowered auto attack there, but you can see Dudu actually standing his ground here quite nicely in the lane. Does have the minion advantage as well, which should help him out as far as getting trades in the right spot. And that snip also going to be helping.
Zeus fighting, trading early as owner comes over.
Yeah, he's going to discover Willa, so Dudu's going to be all right, but Zeus immediately rotating down. Owner wanting to get this kill onto Willa if he can, but no flash to come through either. So Willa is going to be able to just limp his way out of here. Still, Owner now with control of the Krugs. And Dudu getting a ward over here, not exactly in the opportune position. As Willa, this is
greedy.
So dangerous.
Yeah, so greedy. And he's going to get pushed away. I thought for a moment there that he was actually going to try to fight for it. He has Smite, but Dudu, you realize your jungler's not here, right?
He's walking on a ward. So Dudu, of course, is probably just going to be fine. Owner, going to be difficult for him to 1v1 this one at this point in time, as Willa is at least going to be able to secure the second half of his Krugs.
Yeah.
There we go. That's a positive.
Small victories here, and Zeus will, of course, be able to freeze this wave in a very annoying place, and Dudu's going to have to teleport back. So despite no kill going down here on the top side, a huge win for Owner. As he delays, of course, Willer 2 is now going to try to sneak back up to the top side unseen.
Ooh, some alcove gaming, perhaps?
Yeah.
I do like a bit of alcove gaming every now and again. Zeus going to go into his Shroud relatively early here, as I don't think they're... Oh, Willa misses. So never mind. I don't think that Zeus expected that Willa would wrap around there, but you got to land the stun.
I thought he was going to flash it, because obviously Zeus isn't running flash. You flash, hit the stun, Dudu goes in, he has Ignite. Maybe you get that kill. Doesn't commit, though. Just not trusting himself there, I guess, in that moment. And without the flash, he definitely does miss it.
Yep.
Zeus has just enough time to sidestep. Close call there, for sure.
Absolutely.
But a lot of time spent here for Willer now, as he is going to path bottom side, but a lot of farm lost here, a lot of time lost, and Owner's just sticking around. Bottom side here.
Yeah, he's going to move in. See whether he can find a successful gank or something
too.
like that, as, yeah, Faker's just going to rotate down. Moving pretty quickly here with his Predator Galio, as you can see. Hasn't actually used those boots yet. Just got some brown bags that he's sorted out for himself, but just not going to go for anything. Vista lands a Tongue Lash, but that is all the aggression that you're going to get out of Harmor Life at this stage. And I was trying to focus a little bit, Wolf, like as far as my framing of this series, I was trying to focus on the positives for Harmor Life earlier on in this series, because I thought that perhaps T1 would just get off to a very large advantage, and we'd spend most of the game talking about them being good and avoiding talking about Harmor Life not finding too much success. However, it's very, very even at this stage of the game. I'm starting to feel silly. As Zeus, at least with a 10 CS lead, is moving towards the T1 winning camp.
Yeah, Hanwha is probably about like 80 gold ahead in total at this point, but it's very negligible at this stage. And I think that part of the reason why T1 don't have a massive advantage here is, okay, Zeus hit 6.
Yeah.
I was going to say is because this is a pre-6 matchup here on the top side where Dudu had a little bit of control early but wasn't trading it out super well. But this is a place where you don't have a lot of power. It's Galio into Azir, and it's a Zeri comp bottom side. So T1's comp isn't winning the early fight. You know, they're not getting the massive advantages right now. They're looking for that later on.
Yeah. Zeus going to move back up here towards the top side. Willer is in the area as Dudu throws his scissors wide. Not landing all of that snip damage, unfortunately. 5-point strike, however, will connect. Second one as well. Zeus is really wielding the power of the Akali into Gwen matchup post-6, which is where it gets good.
Willer is kind of hovering around, maybe hoping for an all-in, but this is actually a wave state that allows Owner to come over here unseen. Faker, of course, does have level 6. It was in the river, but okay, we're just going to watch a 2v2, it looks like here, straight up.
Well, Owner's going to come out and make it a 2v1 for the first part, and that is going to be first blood going over. Perfect execution comes through as Zeus is able to walk it out. There's the flash forward from Karis. Can he get enough damage down is the question of Zeus. He's still alive! The taunt's going to come through, and Faker is going to at least do a lot of damage here to Karis.
Yeah.
Zeus makes it out to safety. There's the Abyssal Dive on the bottom side of the map as Hanwha are looking for something. But man, Zeus is just making him look silly.
Yeah, he played that so well with the final dash coming through. And like you said, it was a 2v2, except it wasn't, because Willer was way slower on the play, and Zeus is the one to pull the trigger there. This ends up being a fantastic double for T1 on the top side. A kill picked up for Zeus, a kill picked up for Owner. Faker grabs that assist, his ultimate helping keep Zeus alive there as he just walks out casually. Karis will also escape with his life, but man, that was a lot committed to from Hanwha Life. They walk away with nothing, and like you said, they know, okay, the bottom side, maybe we can go for an all-in. Maybe if the dive hits, we can get something down here on the bottom side. We know Owner's top side, but they're not able to make that one happen either.
Yeah, and 2 flashes invested on Hanwha's side, and 0 invested for T1. Faker and Owner, neither of them even needing it in this instance. Let's have a look at it again.
This is, of course, from Zeus's perspective. Engage comes through first for the Wukong, instantly deletes the Gwen, then dashes through the Viego before he can actually react. Question mark pings coming down, and then Faker ults. And unfortunately for Karis, I think he was really hoping maybe he's going to be able to avoid this and get out, but he's not able to do that. Not able to get the kill onto the Akali. 2 kills go over to T1. Bottom side play again, small attempt from Chunny and Vista also fails, and there's just now 1,000 gold for T1 as they also grab Rift Herald. And this topside matchup, you know, can be fairly Gwen-sided, but even in this one, it was not. Like, Zeus was taking early trades against Dudu. Now, we can't even have a conversation about how it's going to go for the Gwen anymore.
And we're starting to get some answers about how this matchup has changed since last we checked. Last time, by the way, Akali was massively favored here in the LCK. I don't know whether it went the same way elsewhere as we headed towards MSI, but here in the LCK, it's always been that Akali runs the show. And it turns out, on this patch, it's starting to look the same way.
Yeah.
As we've rediscovered this Akali counterpick. Rascal doing it earlier on in our previous series, and now Zeus trying to get to 1,100 POG points this game.
It has also been a lot of, like I mentioned in the previous series, really strong solo kill type, strong side top laners who find the most success. They're able to min-max this matchup the most. And Zeus is doing it so early. And this is, again, yes, versus Hanwha Life, but it's also, it's against Dudu. You know, this is it's an accomplishment, actually, to say that he's crushing this guy, this particular opponent, so hard. But it was also, you know, due to Owner having that really nice pathing, knowing the timing of this, having Faker set up with the ultimate there to come over for the assist. And they walk away with a massive victory.
It's really nicely done. Willer is thinking about starting up this Drake. We'll pull it out. And Vista and Chani utilize their wave clear advantage that Silver always has in every matchup to just come over and take this one down. So first Drake will go over to Hanwha Life. But there is still a Rift Herald that's being wielded by T1, and getting control of the map is what they're focused on at this stage. You make the map smaller for Hanwha Life Esports, there's more choke point opportunities to throw a gargoyle into, and more opportunities for Owner to really cause a ruckus, or Carrier even, if he's able to get amongst it. Yeah. So T1, I think, rightfully giving that one up as now Zeus going for the 1v1. Oh, misses the shuriken. All right, still going back in. Perfect execution. And I guess Akali can just get every 1v1. And I think Zeus can always survive with, like, single-digit health.
Yeah, just barely going to survive here. Owner's up here as well. Vista not going to be looking for anything here. I do not think it would be wise to try to take Zeus out. The Ignite from Dudu almost burns him down, but he just barely is able to calculate how much he has. And this is why this guy is most people's frontrunner for MVP right now. Just knows exactly how to get the kill. And look at the build. Goes Night Harvester. He wants to snowball this even further. He doesn't need any extra healing. He's not going for the Rift Maker build here. He just wants extra speed. He's got 5 stacks of Dark Seal. He's like, yeah, you guys gave me the Akali for the counter matchup. I'm just trying to do what I'm supposed to do and keep doing it even harder.
Yeah. Well, you can't fault him. And if you do, he might just kill you, Wolf. So just be careful.
Yeah, you just watch your tongue, all right?
Yeah, no, exactly. 100% kill contribution. Zeus is absolutely a monster in this game so far. And it's only going to get worse as this one goes on. As he misses the shuriken, but it doesn't matter. He doesn't need the backflip damage.
Yep. There's a perfect execution, goes through. takes the extra turret shot and just barely is able to live with the potion he has in his pocket. Wow. Calculated.
Yeah. And that is going to be Ono delivering a bunch of money to Gumayusi as well here on the bottom side, making that Zeri still a factor. Of course, the early game, it's going to look very similar to that of what KT did in game number 1 of our previous series, which was the Zeri is very, very quiet, while the Akali does a heck of a lot of work, and then the torch gets passed.
Yeah.
And in this case, we'll see when that's going to happen or whether it's going to happen, because sometimes, you know, your Akali can just run away with the entire game. And you can imagine Gumayusi's okay with that too.
You know, for Rascal in the previous series, he got those early kills in the mid lane, and then the Gwen suffered because of it. But this time, it's Zeus getting kills onto the Gwen, so this matchup becomes even more disastrous. Whereas Faker is playing a Galio, who is going to be giving CS over to Zeri later on. He's actually not going to be the main character of this story. He's just happy to sit around and help Zeus out if he can with these early roams. And giving over just one Drake, not a huge deal here for T1 at this stage in time. In fact, that's how it's supposed to go, as you're alluding to. And lane swap here for Chani and Vista is going to help relieve some of the pressure right now. And this is done very well, very early for Dudu. Reacts comes over here. And I like this move from Hanwha Esports. I don't think it's going to net them an advantage, but it's going to relieve pressure on 2 parts of the map, I think, very well.
Yeah, it also just delays the amount of time that Dudu has to spend in a lane with this Kali. And if he can be bought any space at all, he's going to be happy. Of course, 1v1 against a Zeri, the Gwen's going to be feeling very, very happy about the situation.
Yeah, I mean, the Zeri can push waves in, but, you know, the Gwen will always be able to just catch them and then start pushing back. Now Gwen's going to be rotating mid, which she'll be doing for farming for a large majority of the rest of the game, because there's no plates left. There's no reason to be bottom side. You want to be in the middle of the action, and this is when Faker is going to go into a little bit of side lane mode, isn't going to be looking for mid farm anymore, and Zeri's just going to be looking to cash in on mid minions, setting up for the second Rift Herald fight.
Yep, both AD carries have put their cull to bed as well. That one has netted them the gold that it promised, whereas Chodi and Vista are just going to answer this ARAM that's going on. As you mentioned, this is likely to be the majority of Gumayusi's positioning this game.
Yeah, and both bottom top laners, both top laners who are bottom have teleport. That's what I am trying to say here. And they can, of course, rejoin for this Rift Herald fight, but one of them is unlike the other in terms of its items and 40 CS lead that is currently holding. Currently a level and a half up is Zeus, and I just don't think this is a realistic fight to try to take here for Hanwha Life. Teleports unleashed.
Yeah, I mean, if Dudu somehow makes sure that Zeus cannot make it to a potential fight and they have a lot of control, then maybe it's all right, but Owner is here, and Faker is available as well, so the teleport is going to get a deep flank angle as Carrier flashes on forward on the hunt, has been popped as we have the taunt, and immediately Willer is just obliterated. There's the Emperor's Divide, but Karras is using it very defensively, and Dudu's teleport not quite as advantageous, one could say. Zeus, perfect execution to get back to lane. Owner is going to start up the Rift Herald once again, and Shirley will be delivered over to T1.
The problem for Hanwha Esports in a macro sense in this type of situation is if you decide, okay, we can't fight for this Rift Herald, then Zeus puts pressure on you in the bottom lane, looks for another solo kill down there, and puts the pressure on the lane, and T1 get it anyways. They still get the Rift Herald, they still win the top side matchup, and Zeri farms freely in the mid. So you have to force a Rift Herald to force that teleport out from the Akali, and by that point, well, you might as well look for some sort of fight or some sort of engage in the mid game with these champions that fight so well in the mid game. Normally, you've got the Azir, you have the Sivir, who's got her Kraken Slayer, she's spiking, whereas Guma is not. But the Akali is just so far fed.
Well, the Gwen is going to struggle with immunity, as Faker is going to pick it up. Justice served in the form of a punch to the back of the head, and Dudu is well and truly taken down. This is 5-0 now, Wolf. I mean, this is one Drake away from perfect game territory at this stage, and we're sitting at about a 3.3k gold lead for T1. It's starting to really get away from Hanwha.
Yeah, it's really starting to sink in, this lead. And you don't have cross-map opportunities anymore as Hanwha Esports. I mean, look at the top turret on its last legs as minions are deleted there. They're trying to set up here for a defense in the mid lane of this Rift Herald so they don't lose mid-turret. It's full health, so, you know, that's one of the things that you have going for you. It's a Galio on the other side, so he hasn't really been slapping that one too much. But T1 will even up Drakes now without even a fight. Hanwha Life Esports are already opting out of fights while the Zeri is sitting on just an Immortal Shield Blow 0-0-0. I think that really is a symptom of the greater game state. As watch this fight. The second the teleport comes through from the Akali, you should leave in this moment. They don't know where he is, but they know he's teleporting out. Gwen is just staying bottom side and then comes in so late. As Karis is disengaging, it's unfortunately just poorly coordinated here on the side of Hanwha Life Esports. As this is just Dudu walking into melee champions who don't care about his mist.
Yep, and Faker actually thought that Dudu wouldn't walk up there. Was backing, and Ona was like, hey man, you want to just grab yourself a quick kill? And Faker's like, don't mind if I do.
Picks up first turret blood. A lot of money in his pocket. Doesn't need to go for the Night Harvester this game because of the lead they have. He just goes straight down the Everfrost build. Night Harvester picked up by the Akali.
Yep.
And he's just happy to be utility this game because he knows he's not carry.
No, exactly. I actually much prefer the Everfrost build. I don't know. Maybe I'm biased.
I like it in a draft like this.
Some people whose opinions I've heard quite a long time in my career. Night Harvester is not necessarily an item that brings good thoughts to my mind. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Although it has certainly proved to be an item that's worked out quite well. I think it was Lava. Was it Lava that debuted here in the LCK?
Yeah, I think it was Lava first, and we've seen, I think, 3 players try it now, but every game has looked a little bit different. I think in this game, with the lead that T1 has, there's just no reason to build it here because Faker just wants to be a facilitator for this Akali and Zeri.
Yeah.
And it's not a game where the Galio needs to actually be the most impactful champion every single time in every fight. He's kind of the backbone of this composition, I would say, with the Leona. But with the lead they have, I mean, you've got some wiggle room here. And if you, Everfrost feels like almost win more in this situation because you're just so far ahead that you're like, oh, there's no chance for these melee champions. The Gwen's not going to be able to close the distance. The Viego's not going to be able to close the distance.
Yeah, and also when you get to a later stage of the game, you're not going to be wanting for more damage.
Yeah.
Who usually exists, right? This is Zeri. She is just the late game epitomized as Faker. He's capable of doing this. He can just buy space, dashing around, can press his boots button, and he's just too fast for Hanwha Life Esports to even deal with here on this Gargoyle. So they managed to get another charge. And now T1 just looking to steal away even more of the jungle, start really getting these screws in. This is kind of what we were expecting from this game. I think the early game was a little bit slower, but the way that this Akali's working, I just feel like maybe the days of the blind Gwen are gone. Maybe it's just happened.
I mean, it was already starting to be a problem with Gnar, who was winning the matchup more than we usually saw last season, and now that Gnar is no longer cool, we're all about the Akali hard counter. At least for these 2 games with Rascal and Zeus, it has looked very good in the isolated matchup, and you were just seeing it in action here. The interesting thing about the CS that you could see for Hanwha Life Esports is they've lost a lot of it, and it hasn't been that, oh, okay, Galio gave all the CS to the Zeri. Not really. He's still actually keeping up. Zeri has been farming mid, but Faker's been side laning and pushing waves into turrets. And as a result, Karis has given a lot of CS up to Chunny, but hasn't picked it up anywhere. He's actually massively behind. He isn't out farming or anything, and that's just a lot of extra gold not picked up by a carry as Vista.
Yeah, has to flash to get out of that Zenith Blade. Carrier threatening off to the side. I love this from T1, thinking one step ahead of Hanwha Life Esports. With the fact that Zeus is putting on so much pressure on that bottom side, they just need to hang out in that brush and just wait for someone to come over and try and punish the Akali. This is actually the assistance that KT were unable to give Rascal when he was split pushing. Make sure that you are facilitating your split pusher that has all of that extra control. As now T1 flashes for the taunt. Chonny's going to cleanse it, but the Everfrost value is massive, and it buys all the space that T1 needed to take down the outer turret.
Yep. And there's kill pressure there. If you mess up the defense or you want to actually try to, or not even the defense, if you mess up your positioning, you actually die, or if you heavily commit to saving this turret, which is so important for Hanwha Life to actually hold on to at this stage, as they're losing control of the map rapidly in the side lanes, then you lose more players there. So it's the right call to back off, but Once again, another glaring symptom of Hanwha Esports' deficit in this game. And the Gwen is just never going to be able to catch up.
Yeah, Dudu just, he's falling further and further behind, 0, 3, and 0. The Gwen doesn't exist. And we haven't really seen Gwens like this. Super anemic, unable to actually find anything to give them any value at all. And oftentimes we talk about, you know, Gwen in the late game, though, she does more consistent damage in team fights. It's just not relevant. It's just not relevant. Because especially when you can't stand next to Faker, who has Taunt and Everfrost available, Dudu will just evaporate if Gumayusi just looks at him. He will, let's just say, Gwen will not be immune as much in this game.
Nope.
In even, not even a little bit, like you.
I mean, the only thing she could be really immune to, you know, in a straight-up exchange is like Zeri's poke when she's far away, or Galio's Winds of War.
She might be immune to a Game 2 ban.
Yeah, that
maybe that's what this game gives her.
Because I mean, look at the itemization here too. Wukong has Mao of
Maltius?
Yeah. Malreach, the LCK.
Chronicler of Mordius.
Yeah.
Morbius Chronicler. Yes, that's what the item is. The Maw of Malmortius.
Maw of Malmortius.
Yeah.
We got there eventually. Yeah. It's been a long night, you know?
Let's just call it Mouth of Mobius.
So yeah, he built that. So what I'm getting at here is it forces a Void Staff to be built here from Karis. Dudu is so far behind that his magic damage is so negligible that even the Wukong could just very easily be happy to walk into the scissors. He's just not going to care. And he has challenging smite as well. He could practically 1v1 Dudu at this point.
And
it's rough.
And his job is going to be get on top of Siva, stop her from doing any damage back, and then who's going to kill him? Willa? Well, I mean, he does do physical damage. That is true. But I just don't think a 0-2-0 Viego is hitting nearly the right numbers that he needs to. Going for the Sunfire Keep build once again. Seen this really start creeping up in popularity after the Blade of the Ruin King, as Ona is just going to pop out here. Extendo Beam is going to be spell shielded as Chani is able to get off into the Fog of War. So on the hunt, going to be enough there. But what was that, a W? And Ghost. So Gumayusi did Ghost.
Yeah.
And ult. Okay, hold on. Is going to hit perfectly here onto Karis. As, the Emperor's Divide timed beautifully. Zeus just holding on to the E so that he can backflip back at any time he wants.
Yep, just waits for it, backflips his way back through.
That was so well really good at League of Legends, Wolf.
It really is true. He is very good. The weird thing is he keeps buying stopwatch as if he's ever going to be in danger in this game.
It's an absolute misplay. Absolute misplay.
Like, what a waste of gold over there.
In my mind, he was going to get POG until he bought a useless item. Why did he spend that money on a stopwatch that he's never going to need to use, Wolf? Like, oh, no. Oh, well, I guess we just give it to the Zeri again.
Yeah, 0-0 Zeri, 350 gold bounty.
Okay, so I've got a proposition for you, Wolf.
Go ahead.
If Gumayusi gets another pentakill,
yeah,
will he ever be able to take POG from Zeri after plays like this that he's been making all day?
No, I don't think so. I actually don't think I would give it to him even if he pentas. Unless T1 like suddenly throw this game and Hanwha take a lead and then he saves the game with a penta or something like that. But I'm looking at the game state and I'm telling you it's more likely that I'm actually just going to fly through the roof like when the elevator goes to the ceiling in Charlie's Chocolate Factory.
Yeah. Augustus Gloop, do you have anything else to say?
I'm going to turn into a blueberry before that happens.
Exactly. Owner is going to slink away, a little bit more camouflaged than Willa was. I was going to say something, and now I've completely forgotten.
Was it about the fact that Zeus is already, well and truly locked in his POG this game?
It might have been something about that. I'm not entirely sure. It might have been about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, for all I know, as that was the references we got stuck on immediately afterwards. But we've got 45 seconds on the Drake. So T1 looking for this Hextech Soul. As they've taken the last couple of dragons this game.
Give me the Oompa Loompa Tom Kench skin.
Oh my goodness! That's extraordinary. We definitely need to get one of those. Justice Punch is going to stop Willa from doing anything. Nice two-man taunt to come through there as the ultimate from Carrier is also fantastic. Now Faker is just going to find Dudu as he comes in. That is not the welcome party that he was promised in this moment. 0-4-0 for the Gwen. Probably the weakest Gwen that we've seen so far this round robin. And an unfortunate performance for Dudu as T1, they give up on the Dragon idea. They're going straight for the Baron.
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't matter if Hanwha Esports get the solo Drake back. In fact, T1, after doing a little bit of damage to this Baron, are going to split over here and look to actually contest this, it looks like. Faker has Flash available, and his Predator Boot's still on cooldown. Doesn't look like he's actually quite going to make it here in time, but can they hold this choke point?
Yeah, well, Faker is going to Everfrost onto Willa. There is an Akali here, but she does get pushed out with the Emperor's Divide. There is the heroic entrance, but Zeus has already landed. The backflip, there's the flash forward from Kumiyushi. Pop goes the bottom lane, and Zeus is going to pick up the kill onto Karis. That's an ace, actually, as Dudu had only just respawned, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. And T1 will now take this inner turret with the Baron they'd picked up earlier.
Yeah, and with everybody just now in the Death Chamber, they are going to basically eliminate all of the relevant structures on the map here for Hanwha Esports. Hanwha, the Drake for Baron and everything else trade. Not to act like they had any chance of contesting the Baron, as Dudu, of course, was wiped off the map moments before, but this is an inhibitor here, and it will probably be multiple if they end up pushing for this one, as they can group up and take that bottom lane as their anchor point, but they want to back buy items. T1's having a lot of fun this game, as they should.
Let's have a look at how it all started. Well,
yeah, triple taunt, Cyclone follow-up, Zeri gets the Extendo Beam into the whole team, and from that moment on, it should have been over, but Dudu was like, oh, I thought this was going to be closer. So you're saying in the time I channeled my teleport, everybody was out of there. Bit of a rough one. As Faker wants to flash and get the massive taunt in the choke point, he'll settle for one as Zeus comes over here and he's like, all right, thanks for buying just enough time for me to help wipe this out. And Guma gets over the wall. Oh, it's so cinematic.
Yeah,
flashes for the kill.
in. Just a very comfortable, 1,000 gold that he picks up in that small moment. I think that is that's certifiable, I reckon. As he does have a Wit's End. It's 4 items on the Zeri right now.
Yeah.
Look at these gold leads. All right, so Faker's 4,000 gold ahead of Karis as the supportive Galio.
5,000 for Zeus
yeah,
here?
just a casual 5,000 gold lead here for the Akali. And of course, being 5,000 gold ahead of the 0-4-0 Gwen makes a whole lot of sense, as Ona's going to take matters into his own hands. Here's the heroic entrance as Faker's going to turn up as well. The Devour's now on cooldown as, oh my god, the damage from Zeus is insane. Johnny not going to quite find the correct cleanse, but is still able to get himself out to relative safety. But what does safety really mean as a Hanwha Esports player on the map in this particular game? Maybe safety is the coach's booth after this Nexus has finally gone down.
I don't know if Kesman's going to be, if he's going to be a safe place to be around.
Oh, no.
After this one, unfortunately. But look.
Oh, but they do get 1 kill.
Yeah, they got Zeus, and they got some of his bounty gold.
Now that's really relevant, Wolf, because now they've given over the bounty gold. It's time for the comeback. Am I right?
No. I'm going to have to say no. I'm going to have to shut you down on this one right now.
Okay. No,
I'm going to have to
So,
let everyone know that Atlas is being sarcastic.
So I remembered what I was going to say. I was going to say, but before I was so rudely interrupted by Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. I was going to ask you, what would you bet on Hanwha Esports?
Oh, like instead of a hair situation?
Yeah, instead of like you know how I did it and I got super punished? Do you think it's ever possible for you to get punished? Ona's going to say no as he wraps around. Faker also running extraordinarily quickly.
I'll tweet I'm an Oompa Loompa if Esports win this game.
All right. Not quite as committal as the shaving of the hair. But
yeah, I learned from you to be careful about that, even in a game state like this.
And actually, it might you might have T1 fans getting very upset because I could imagine that. Yeah, people were upset at me making a bet about that one as well. Caster curses are real, and they are things that we need to respect. As Ona Gonna be tanking this one, but is just gonna go straight forward, finds the Cyclone. Oh my god, the AoE damage is insane. Faker blocking them all down. It's a double kill here already for Zeus, as Dudu is gonna go golden, but he's just going to prolong the inevitable. It's a double kill here for Gumayusi. It's 2-pair right now. They're looking to make it a full house with a kill onto Willer as they dive the fountain, and Gumayusi might be given the triple, as he's going to be knocked up. Willer doing his best Faker impression as he goes back towards his fountain now, and it's just going to be 2-pair, but that will be enough. That's the winning hand here for T1 in Game 1.
Got a lot of value out of that first pick Wukong there in the final moments of this game, but Zeus was set up well by Owner in the early parts, but he just individually had a performance